You know, folks, it's been about 21 years since we met like this before. In that day, you didn't know who Bill Clinton was, and you sure didn't know who this man Larry Nichols was. Today, things are different. They're actually worse, if you can believe that. Back then, my job was to convince a nation full of people that a man and his wife that were president of the United States were not what they appeared to be. Now, I know most of y'all are here wondering, what am I going to say about Hillary? First time I ever saw Hillary Rodham, she was Hillary Rodham. She was not Hillary Clinton because she wouldn't take his name. She was wearing a muumuu, flip-flops, hairy legs, hair under arms. She didn't bathe, dirty hair, and big old black horn rimmed glasses. That was kind of an ugly picture, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was what she had around her neck. She had what looked to be a military dog tag chain around her neck that was attached to a cord like a press pass today. When I got up close and saw that, it said a proud member of the United States Communist Party. Well, that was the day I learned something about Hillary. She believes that America would be better served if we became a communist country. That's a way of life I choose to believe we don't want. But here we are, 21 years later. Now, I'm not the young man I was back then, albeit I'm still good looking, but I'm not the man I was back then. I'm old now. But the fire is still in me to save this country. And the way to save it is a little bit different than I think any of you have thought about. And you're thinking you're coming here to hear me tell all about Hillary, the dirty, ugly deeds she's done, and she's done a lot of them. Well, that's not what you're going to get. I think it's better served with a simple statement about Hillary. Hillary, given her choice, she would have us become a communist nation. We've already talked about that. But there's another side that bothers me. You see, in the Benghazi trial, or hearings, I think for the first time, every one of you are going to be able to see the Hillary I've known for years from the inside. And go back to that video where she said, what difference does it make? They're dead. Just as cold and hard as anybody's ever told, something like that. Well, that's Hillary. And it would bother her no more to say, what difference does it make they're dead, than it would bother her to say, well, what difference does it make whether we're a communist country or not? But scarier still is where we are in our nation right now. Guys, I think if any of us will sit down and dedicate just a few moments, just a few, ever so few moments, and let's sit and let's think about where we are as a nation. What are we doing as a nation today? Why today is our nation to all of you and me. We're sitting here and we feel like something's not right. We know something's not right, but we just don't know what it is. I believe, and all of you can check this out for yourself, and I propose that you do just that. I believe that whether Hillary gets to be president, Donald Trump gets to be president, or Popeye gets to be president, don't matter. Don't matter anymore. You see, folks, Washington, D.C. is gone. For a long time now, Washington has been the best government money could buy in the world, except we the people just didn't have money to buy it. And so now whoever takes over as president is going to be measured by all of the high-stakes lobbying, by all of the, you've got congressmen and senators that are dedicated to fighting whomever is president just so they can fight whoever's president, because that's what they're supposed to do. And then when the doors are shut and nobody's looking, they're in there high-fiving each other and bragging about, boy, we got them this time, didn't we? Making it look like there was some big fight of ideologies between the Democrats and the Republicans. And all of their constituents can stand up and applaud and pat their team on the back. Or say, we'll get them next time. Well, I'm here to declare today, right now, Washington's gone. It's all lies. You say, well, which one lies? All of them. Well, which ones we better be the most afraid of? All of them. All of them. We've got to save a country that is almost gone. And when it goes further than we are now, there'll be no taking it back. And I have waited and waited and waited, hoping that somebody would get out here and do what I'm trying to do now. Somebody other than me. Somebody much more qualified than I. But I'm fixing to get involved in what's called the plan. I think I prefer to call it Revolution 2.0, the American Revolution 2.0. How's that for all you techie people? You didn't think I'd know something like that. 2.0 means the revised version, I guess. What is the plan? The plan is probably 3 parts. Our Constitution, our forefathers, and 1 part today, where we are, what we've got to do. You see, the thing that we are operating under right now, this is before Hillary becomes president or Obama stays or anybody else gets it. Where we are today is the United States of America has acceded all of our internal power to a federal government. A federal government that the people that created our nation were very adamant about. They never wanted us to be subservient to a king, a dictator, any central organization or person. But we have messed around and we've done it. Now, virtually everything gets dictated out of Washington. I'm going to give you a quick example of that. In Arizona, a governor there, the state passed an immigration bill. Legislature signed it, or ratified it, and then Governor Jan Brewer, she signed it into law. And almost as quick as that law passed, they sent it over to federal court, and a federal judge, most people refer to him as the Black Robe Mob, a federal judge struck it down, and even put a stay on that law until it could be adjudicated. So in other words, they couldn't even implement it until it had gone through the federal process. That's wrong. That was all wrong. First off, think about it. Think about it just for a second. You see, to show you how crazy we have gotten, just think of this, would you? Why did Arizona go to the trouble to get it on a ballot, to go vote, then the state legislature to go ratify it and deal with it, and the governor to sign it? Why? If all it was going to come down to was some judge saying yes or no or whatever the ruling that judge wanted. So you see, voting in America today is worthless. It's worthless. We ought to just go to federal judges or the Supreme Court and say, here's what we would like to do. May we do it? Guys, it was never meant to be this way. For a state to be able to create its own laws and its people honor those laws and the state government adopt and implement those laws duly created by the people of the state, for that to all get into this mess it's in, it was never meant to be this hard. It was never meant to be this way. But how do we stop it? How? I believe states' rights, that's right, states' rights, is the only thing that can save us now. The only thing. What our plan does is it goes to states' rights, and it's out to prove that the emperor has no clothes. By that I'm saying the only power that Washington, D.C. has is the power that we, through our state and local governments, have acceded to it. That's it. That's it. We just give it to them. Here, you do it. We won't do it. You do it. And we handed it off to them. And now we've handed way too much off. So, here's what I want you to think about. Let's put together a law as a group, as us, as a group. One of the key issues today in America is illegal immigration. Now, illegal immigration seems to be this issue that just nobody could ever solve. You know, the Republicans have their concept for this big, long illegal immigration plan. The Democrats have their plan. Trump makes his plan. Everybody's got a plan. May I tell you something, though? If your plan that you have come up with entails building a wall, well, folks, you build that wall. It's going to be expensive to build. And when you get through building it, do you have any idea how hard it'll be for them to dig over it or dig under it or go over the top of it? To a people down there that were able to dig a mile-long tunnel, put a motorcycle and air conditioning in it just so they could slip in and come up under the shower of one of the most wanted criminals in the world and get them out, I'd say they can probably be laughing. They would probably be laughing at us if we build a wall. Well, the next thing I hear is, well, we just got to round them up and send them home. I don't disagree with the concept of sending them home, but I do ask that we realize the cost that it would take to buy bus tickets, plane tickets, whatever, to send millions and millions of these people home. Not to mention how we're going to find them. So the third plan that people seem to want to implement is let's put them in jail. Well, now we put all the illegals in jail that are here, and here's what we've done. We once again have run up exorbitant costs because now we got to pay for 24 hours a day care for all of them and 3 square meals a day. Cost prohibitive. But what if we did something really, I mean crazy? You know, let's do something really crazy. Let's just fix it without spending any money. Holy smoke. How would you do that? Well, let me give you an idea. For every illegal alien that is caught working at a job where the employer has hired them, what we ought to do is say, okay, employer, here's the deal. You're going to use E-Verify. Well, E-Verify is not perfect, I know that, but you know what? If we worked on it, it'd get better than it is, and it's still better than nothing. So here's what happens. We say to the employers in this state, whichever state will adopt this thing, we say, look, for the first illegal you're caught working, it'll be a $5,000 fine and a 90-day term in jail mandatory. For those of you that don't know, when you say 90-day mandatory jail sentence, that means you can't get out of it for any reason. You can have the best attorney, you can have whatever. You're not getting out of it. It's mandatory. And you know what'll happen? All of a sudden, people in your state that used to be, golly gee, bricklayers, drywall people in construction, roofers in construction, plumbers, all these jobs that are not being filled by Americans will be filled by Americans. It won't cost us 5, maybe 5. We probably won't even have to put that many employers in jail and literally hold them to the letter of the law. And remember, if they've got 10 illegals working for them, that's 10 times that penalty. The first offense, 10 times, $5,000 fine. 10 times, 90 days in jail. Now that'll probably work out to run concurrent, but it's still there. Do not remove the fine and do not remove the jail time. And then, folks, for the second offense, the fine doubles, $10,000. But what happens to the prison time or the jail time? Jail time goes from county jail now to state prison, and we're talking about 5 years hard labor, mandatory, no getting out, per employee illegal. Now, folks, I promise you this. Let's talk candidly amongst ourselves. Maybe we can't get the politicians to do it, but surely to God we can. Listen to me. There won't be 2 or 3, maybe 4, oh gosh, maybe 5 business owners would be fined and put in jail until nobody would hire an illegal Mexican. Nobody. Now, then I say in this law, to solve this crisis, we implement another thing, which is living. Anybody caught renting, leasing, selling, motel, hotel, whatever, to an illegal immigrant, anyone caught doing that, same fines and penalty apply. First time, $5,000 and 90 days in jail, mandatory per illegal living in the residence or the apartment. Now, look what we've done in this state that we're trying to get this picked up in. Look what we've done. We've removed the thing that drew them here, which was the job. We fixed it to where they cannot live anywhere. They're going to have to live out in the streets. They're not going to do that. You know what they're going to do? They're going to leave. They're going to leave. Well, you see, since we're talking states' rights, folks, in this hypothetical state we're talking about right here, whatever the state's name, whatever it is, you know what? The illegals that are in that state, I'll bet you this, they'll leave. Now, they may not go back to Mexico, but they will leave. And all of a sudden, for no money, for virtually nothing, we've ended illegal immigration in this country. Now, if the state next to the state we're talking about doing this program with, if they open up their arms wide and let them all come into their state, then so be it. And the people of that state, guess what? You're going to pay for that 100 times over. You're going to pay for it. But it's down to either the good people of the state next to the one that we're talking about with this pilot program, either the state next to it does one or two things. Either get on board, adopt the plan that the state we're proposing would do, or get out of the way and be ready to accept tens of thousands of illegal immigrants that are already breaking your banks and breaking your hospitals and everything else. It's going to be either or. Either they're going to come on to your state, or you know what, if you have the same kind of law, they're going to pass you over as well. And then, by the way, folks, if you live in a state that is just not willing to adopt a plan like this, guess what? There's no change on you either. Just move. Just leave. And I know that's hard, and I know it's easy to say. But when we're talking about your income, when we're talking about raising your kids, you know, that's what I'm talking about. And yes, you might want to leave if your state refuses to do a plan such as this. I want to go one other step. We got terrorism. Now listen to me, guys. Terrorism. This plan, using it as a dragnet, it's going to catch a lot of the terrorists that come across the border here from the south or the north illegally, because they're not going to be able to work. But even if they don't need work because they brought the money in with them, guess what? They're not going to be able to rent an apartment or a room or anything to live in. So my God, look at what we've done. We've made it hard on somebody coming to blow us up. Now, that brings me to another point. blowing us up. Something that seems to be lost in the conversation about illegal immigration and about terrorism. We have had a war declared on us. Islam. Islam has said they have declared war on us. Now, with their announcing that they've declared war on us, you know what they've done? They've put us in a war footing situation. We in America are in, or should be, announced that we're in a war footing right now today. And then as a part of that, you implement the plan that we just talked about, where you put in prison and you find the people that rent to them, or lease to them, or hire them. You do that, but then the state needs to set up its own anti-terrorism task force. It would be run just like your narcotics task force in your state. It would coordinate with the county, city, law enforcement. Folks, do you see what we're doing here? Do you see it? We're stopping them having an easy shot to come in and live and work while they're planning and working to build the bomb to blow us up. Then, by setting up this anti-terrorism group, now we're going to have the Muslims in this state. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to go and have to go to the courthouse, and they're going to have to register. Yep. Oh, now they're going to throw a fit. They're going to go to the highest level of mad there is in the world. But remember the offer I always leave up for illegal immigrants, be it people that are coming to blow us up or Mexicans or whomever. We always have this option in this state: just leave. And remember, we're under a war footing with Islam. Now I want to tell you about that. Back during World War II, we had Japanese Americans, and our government back then didn't know, well, which one of them's a saboteur, which one would be a spy. We didn't know, had no way of knowing. So what they had to do back then is they had to build internment camps. I'm not talking about doing that. Not me. What I'm talking about is a very prudent, a very practical plan. And you know, by making the Muslims at least register, we know where they are. We know where they are. And something we don't know right now, we know who is here. The Muslims may not like having to register, but if I live in that state, I'm going to like it one hell of a lot, because I want to know if they're junior varsity, fine. But you know what? They've been killing people in this country quite easily, and it's time to stop it. And by the state police setting up these terrorism task force, you know what you've done? Now we got people at the local county level that are out there getting and observing these mosques. And by the way, as a part of this law, the state is declaring that it will monitor mosques both overtly and covertly, because that's where these young people are getting radicalized, right here in a mosque, in your state or in my state or wherever. And remember the caveat here. The caveat is, if the Muslims want to raise hell and the Mexicans want to raise hell and say no, fine, go to another state. Just in this state, we take care of our own. We take care of our people. And you know what? These laws that I've just described accomplish two things. Number one, it gets rid of the illegal immigrant problem to a great degree. Plus, it's creating jobs that Americans get to go back and work in. And you know what? It makes me feel good to know that my state, if it would adopt this plan, that my state's doing everything it can to protect my daughter and my grandbabies from getting blowed up. This plan. It'll be laughed about, it'll be laughed out of the box, and there'll be people tell you, well, that's a good idea, but it'll never go, it'll never go. Let me tell you something, folks. Let me just be the one to tell you. It'll go. It'll work. And when the federal government comes at the state that passes this and says, no, sir, we're going to strike that down for the constitutional reasons or whatever reason they give me, we're going to put a stay on it. You know what the state should do at that point? Just say no. See, this is where you start exercising exercising that accession of our rights to the federal government. Claim them back, take them back. And when the federal government tells you, after the people of a state have put it on a ballot and voted for it, the state legislature ratified it and the governor signed it, that is all under due course of law in most states that needs to be done to make it official law in that state. And when the federal government, through its black robe mob, wants to join in and cause trouble, you just say no. Now, think about that. And I know there are AGs listening right now, attorney generals listening right now, and they say, well, he doesn't understand federal government. He doesn't understand. No, I understand it quite well. You're a coward, and you have sworn to an oath of the bar, which apparently is more important than your oath to the people to which you've been elected to serve. Now you listen to me, you attorney generals, you listen to me, you governors, you listen up. We're talking about the lives of my grandchildren. This is real. This is real. If you're an attorney general for the federal government, or if you're an attorney general for the state, you're supposed to be protecting my daughter and my grandchildren, or all the grandchildren and children around the country. You're supposed to be protecting them, not facilitating a system that puts them at risk. One thing sets us free, and that's states' rights. They are still there if we will declare them and use them. So I ask, in the name of everything that's holy, please set our people free.